excited to learn with you today.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today we are talking about the Department of Defense announcing that they are making basic training hard again.
Tomorrow, ladies, we gonna start the hard stuff.
Yes, they are overhauling, revamping, and really just kind of making basic training what it used to be 20 years ago. But if you guys didn't know this, yes, basic training has changed drastically in the last decade or so. And so, yeah, I actually do think this is a really good thing, right? So that's what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about what basic training is now and what it's kind of being reverted to. All right. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. Go grab some merch. Let's jump into this thing. First, we're going to take a look at the clip of Pete Hegseth announcing this.
Is to make our soldiers, make our military tougher, to make it more rigorous, make it hard. And as part of that, you've make basic training great again. You're returning drill sergeants. Tell me, what is the shark attack? What are some of the things you're bringing back to basic training?
Well, it's the basic stuff that anyone who went through any form of basic training for decades understood. Is as a recruit, you were going into a crucible. You were going to be forged. You were going to be challenged. You were going to be scared, nervous, and anxious. And by coming through that, you were going to be forged an American warrior. A shark attack is when drill sergeants surround one particular enlistee, right? Creating a stressful situation that they have to figure out how to manage.
He's gonna try to bring it on the boot camp, because he had another idea to make it. Get up there right now. Where's the big cover? Shut up! Shut up! Stop moving, boy. Yes, sir! Aye, sir! You're done! Aye, sir!
If you start soft, you end soft. If you aren't strong from the beginning, you won't finish the fight properly. It starts at basic training. It starts at our military academies. We are going back to basics. Drill sergeants will be drill sergeants with knife hands.
So yes, what has essentially just turned into a glorified summer camp with stress cards and having your phone on you the entire time and not having to do more than 10 push-ups, drill sergeants can't smoke you, is going back to the old days, the 90s, baby, where you can get shark attacked. Drill sergeants can get in your face, scream at you, do everything they're supposed to do.
Really? Love my barracks night and day.
Love my barracks night and day.
Won't complain, that's where I'll stay.
Won't complain, that's where I'll stay.
All right, and I know all the drill sergeants out there right now are giving this a clap because they finally get to go back to being like this.
So where you from? I'm fresh off a motherfucker's ass, and I'm getting homesick. Huh? What you gonna do? You ain't nothing but a little punk ass motherfucker from the street that think he can come in the army and do something. You ain't gonna do shit. Now, you're gonna make a choice. Either you're gonna do what I say, or you're gonna get your ass whipped right here.
Instead of what they have to do right now, which is like this.
Dang, I do look good.
Move the front.
Hold on, baby.
Who said you can have a cell phone right now, private? Williams?
Drew, I can't have my phone.
You can. Fine.
I'll put it away, Drew.
No, you don't have to put it away. I don't want any complaints against me. Just
Are you not telling me to put it away, Drew?
no, you can keep it.
Hold on.
You can keep your phone. You can keep your phone. Just do 5 push-ups.
Wait, you
5 push-ups, private, just 5.
just 5?
Just 5.
All right, real quick, let's talk about some of the things in detail I just mentioned there. Like, okay, yeah, stress cards. I don't know if you used to hear about this, but yes, if things got too stressful, you could pull out your stress card, hand it to the drill sergeant. He would have to stop screaming at you, okay? Physical fitness limits, right? They can't make you do more than something like 5 or 10 push-ups at a time because it's too rigorous. And I've heard even the final thing, like the final 12-mile ruck march that we've all had to do, is taking upwards of 6 hours to finish, which is insane because those of you in the military or have been recently know the standard for a 12-mile ruck march is 3 hours. So absolutely ridiculous how easy and pathetic these fitness standards are in the basic training that as it is now. All right, so all you young bloods out there that watch the channel, I know there's a lot of you looking to join the military, headed off to basic training soon. There you go. You're going to be going into the crucible that we all had to do in the old days. And if you're going to do that, you got to get trained up, right? Got to get your physical fitness right. And guys, if you're looking to get your physical fitness in check, you got to supplement right. And that brings us to today's sponsor, which is Tasty Gains Creatine Gummies. Followers of the channel know how much I love this product, all right? Creatine, fantastic for you. If you are preparing for something like basic training or anything, special operations courses, Ironmans, marathons, anything like that, you're going to need very high levels of muscle recovery. It's going to help you actually train way harder and get in a lot better shape faster, all right? So pretty much all creatine monohydrate and in gummy form tastes great. Go buy yourself some. Now, we talked about the way basic training currently is. Yes, it's a joke. Everybody knows that. But why is this so important? This is actually a really huge deal, I think, that most people are probably glossing over and not really thinking about. Well, basic training sort of sets the stage for your development into the military. I know everybody thinks, oh, basic training, all it is, you know, stress inoculation, which it is a lot of that, and learning basic tasks and things like that. Yes, but when you make it so easy that, again, it's basically just a fucking church camp, you're not developing the things young soldiers, especially that are going into combat arms, need to develop, all right? Like real stress inoculation. Why is that so important? Well, the entire purpose of that is so that you can act under pressure in extreme situations, which war and combat are, right? So that way you are used to getting screamed at and you don't shut down. So for example, when your lieutenant tells you to take that hill and run into gunfire to go do it, you're not going to panic and shut down. You're so used to being screamed at, you're stress inoculated, that you're just going to do what you're ordered to do. Super important on a grand scheme of controlling entire units and formations worth of soldiers. Another really important thing is that it actually is setting a fitness standard early in your military career. So this shit where basically PT tests are becoming diagnostic and no more than 10 push-ups and all these different things, that basically is just sending weak, out of shape soldiers into the force that then have to be dealt with through corrective action and PT plans and all these different things by the unit that's receiving the soldiers. That's just a bunch of added bullshit and work for the NCOs and sergeants in charge that they shouldn't have to be dealing with. They should be receiving in decent, at least decent shape soldiers, competent enough to do level 1 tasks and things like that, instead of a bunch of private piles.
Get your fat ass up there, pile! What the hell is the matter with you anyway? I'll bet you if there was some pussy up there on top of that obstacle, you could get up there.
And this needs to be compounded even harder. I think if they're going to do this correctly, they need to look at things, especially in like infantry OSET, right? So infantry basic training, you need to enact the new Army combat fitness standards there. You need to push these guys a lot harder. And you need to develop these soldiers into what they're supposed to be before, again, sending them off to the force, causing it to be somebody else's fucking problem. And finally, why I think this is really such a good thing is this is what the vast majority of soldiers want. When I talk to these young soldiers that are actually motivated, that want to serve the nation, they want to go do difficult things, they want to be challenged, the last thing that they want to do is go to some, again, pussified version of basic training that nobody before them had to go through. I know it sounds counterintuitive. Now, of course, there's some soldiers that are lazy, say whatever, they want that. But for the most part, these soldiers want to be challenged. They want basic training to be hard. They want to get everything out of it that they can, right? They want to be shaped and developed into young men and women in the early parts of their lives, which basic training is not going to completely do that, but it's going to set them on the trajectory to do that. And if it's super easy and weak and nobody yells at you and you have your phone the entire time and you're not stressed out, there's no point for them to even be there. I know the argument used to be, well, like, well, they're learning their level 1 tasks. They're learning how to shoot the rifle and, you know, move in formations and all these things. That's not the point of basic training. Nobody gives a shit, really, if you learn how to shoot a rifle or anything like that. You're learning the absolute basics. You're going to learn almost all of that, your actual job, especially if you're in the infantry or combat arms, at your actual unit. Okay. What you're learning how to do is to just be a soldier in the military, which is extremely important. So that way, when you get to your unit, they're not teaching you how to be a fucking soldier first. They can actually just start teaching you your job. All right. But will it actually succeed if it's enacted. There's some things to think about here. A lot of people say that this generation is soft, that it can't handle stress, they're emotionally immature, they shut down under pressure, all these different things. That's been the argument for why they had to make basic training such a joke, is because that's all Gen Z can handle. Now, while I do think that this generation is, a little bit more coddled than the previous generations, I still think that the majority of Gen Z young men and women who want to serve, who want to join the military, go to infantry basic training, things like that, I think that they can handle the basic training that we all went through in the past, right? It wasn't that difficult. Yes, it's stressful. You're in a new environment. You're getting screamed at by scary drill sergeants and all these things, but they're not so frail that they can't handle a regular basic training, in my opinion. But the second problem, potentially, is this also could just be more big talk by the Department of Defense. The truth is, for all the claims about getting back to lethality and combat effectiveness and woke and DEI and all these things going away, when you talk to the soldiers, that's not what they're saying. None of these things are actually changing at the ground level from all the guys I'm talking to, whether it be in SF or in other units. And a big reason why people think that is because you have this huge demographic of field grade officers who are sort of acting as buffers between the policy being set by the DoD and their institutionalization through academia and left-wing colleges before they become officers. So they're sort of stonewalling a lot of this policy from actually changing anything to the ground level troops that they're seeing day to day. And I'll tell you, I'm working on an episode right now where I'm doing essentially a command climate survey of a bunch of active duty Green Berets and high ranking from team sergeants to sergeant majors that are going to let you know what things are really like at the ground level. And it's not really what you're hearing on Fox News when Pete Hegseth gives his, big speeches. But I will say this, if they do enact it, I think they should just throw it in there, make it a crucible again, make it hard, bring back the physical fitness challenges, just get guys fit again. And I think that you'll actually see some pretty good success for it. But again, to my point, is this actually even going to get enacted? A lot of these things in the military, you make your changes and they take years to ever really funnel down and get through. We'll have to wait and see. But I got to imagine almost all of you that have been through, basic training in the past, you would like to see sort of the integrity and the difficulty of basic training be what it's always been, right? At least I would like to see that. So hope you guys found this one interesting. We'll have to see what happens if there's any more announcements on this. But yeah, it's going to do it for this one. Catch y'all in the next one.